I was standing in a police station at midnight, my hands trembling as I watched security footage of my brother-in-law stealing my car. 3,000 miles away, I'd been celebrating a friend's wedding, completely unaware that my own family was betraying me in the most shocking way imaginable. The worst part? They genuinely believed I was the villain in this story. My name is Meredith, and this is about the moment I discovered that being the helpful one in my family had turned me into nothing more than their personal ATM, and when I finally said no, they decided to just take what they wanted anyway. It started with something so ordinary. After 8 years of driving a beat-up Honda that my family constantly ridiculed, the engine finally surrendered with a dramatic puff of smoke on my commute home. I pulled over to the shoulder, watching that pathetic gray cloud rise from beneath the hood, and felt something unexpected wash over me. Not despair, liberation. This wasn't a disaster, it was an opportunity. For years, I'd been quietly saving while my family assumed I was simply too cheap or financially inept to upgrade. "When are you ditching that piece of junk?" Marcus, my sister's husband, would laugh every time I pulled up to family dinner. Dad would shake his head like some automotive prophet, "That thing's going to die on you one day." My sister Bianca would actually giggle and say, "I can't believe you still drive that embarrassment." I'd always give them the same response, "I'm not changing cars until this one completely dies." They thought I was being stubborn or cheap. The truth was so much sweeter than they could have imagined. Let me tell you about my family, because understanding them is crucial to understanding how everything unraveled. My parents live in a cramped house they've owned forever. Dad spends his retirement complaining about everything from his worn recliner, the TV's too loud, the coffee's too weak, the world's going to hell. Mom works part-time at the grocery store, allegedly for extra money, but I've always suspected it's really just to escape the house. They're not poor, but they're perpetually stuck in that uncomfortable space between struggling and stable. Then there's my older sister Bianca, 34, married to Marcus, a construction worker who finds jobs when the mood strikes him, and mother to my two amazing nephews, Lucas, 8, and Caleb, 6. When this story happened, she was 5 months pregnant with their third child. Here's the thing about Bianca and Marcus, they live in this tiny rental house right next to my parents, and they're always struggling. Always. There's never enough money, never enough space, never enough of anything, except expectations for me to fill the gaps. And here's where I come in, or rather, where my wallet comes in. I've been the family's unofficial bank for years. School supplies for the boys, sports club fees, utility bills when things got tight, I covered it all. I told myself it was what family does. I told myself I was helping. What I didn't realize was that I was training them to see me as a resource rather than a person. When my car finally gave up, dramatically, with grinding noises and smoke like something out of a movie, I knew my moment had arrived. After the mechanic delivered the death sentence, "Sorry, Meredith, this time it's really done," I spent the next few days taking the bus to work and secretly car shopping online. I wasn't looking for anything outrageously expensive, just something reliable that would serve me well for years. But then I found it, a Honda Pilot, just a couple years old, with incredible safety ratings and enough space for when I needed it. As I looked at it on the lot, I kept thinking about my nephews, how I'd pick them up from school sometimes, take them to games and practices. With baby number 3 coming, there might be times when I'd need to transport the whole crew. The salesman was refreshingly honest about the price. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't outrageous either. As I ran the numbers in my head, I realized something incredible: I could pay for it outright. No loan, no monthly payments. Just write a check and drive away in something that was completely, entirely mine. The paperwork felt like it took forever, but finally, there I was, sitting in my beautiful new car, everything working perfectly, that new car smell filling my lungs. I couldn't stop smiling. This was mine. All mine. I'd worked for it, saved for it, earned it. I decided to surprise my family at our usual Saturday dinner. Every weekend, we gathered at my parents' house, a tradition that felt sacred, a time when we'd all catch up and share our week. I couldn't wait to see their faces when they realized what I'd accomplished. Saturday arrived, and I drove over with this bubbling excitement in my chest. Bianca and Marcus's beat-up minivan was already parked on the lawn like always. I parked my shiny new Pilot a few feet away and just sat there for a moment, savoring the anticipation. Inside, the usual chaos was unfolding. Mom had prepared her traditional Saturday spread, the kitchen smelled like heaven, and everyone was gathering around the dining table. We settled in, and the conversation flowed like it always did. "So Meredith," Bianca said with that familiar smirk, "how's that death trap of yours holding up?" This was my moment. "Actually," I said, fighting to keep the grin off my face, "my car is completely dead. Engine gave up earlier this week." "Oh honey, I'm so sorry," Mom said, genuine concern in her voice. "How are you getting to work?" "Well," I said, unable to contain my excitement any longer, "I bought myself a new car. It's parked outside." The silence that followed was so complete you could have heard a pin drop. Everyone just stared at me like I'd announced I was moving to Mars. Bianca was already pushing back from the table. "I want to see it. Right now." Everyone outside. We all trooped outside, and I watched their faces as they took in my Honda Pilot. Mom walked around it slowly, running her fingers along the paint. "Meredith, this is beautiful and so practical," she said, genuine admiration in her voice. Dad nodded approvingly. "Good choice, kiddo. This will last you forever." I opened all the doors, showing off the interior. The boys climbed into the back seats, bouncing around and exploring every feature. Lucas called out, "Aunt Meredith, this is like a spaceship." I was glowing. This was exactly the reaction I'd hoped for. From most of them, anyway. Bianca stood there with this strange expression on her face, not happy, not angry, just calculating. "It's very nice," she said, her voice completely flat. Marcus opened the trunk and whistled. "Damn, you could fit a whole family's worth of stuff in here. This is like the perfect family car." Then he added something that made my stomach twist a little. "Seems like kind of a waste though, for someone who doesn't have kids." I shrugged it off. "I have 2 nephews and another one on the way. Plus, I like having the space." We headed back inside to finish dinner, but something had shifted. Bianca was quiet through the rest of the meal, picking at her food and shooting me these looks I couldn't quite read. The celebration atmosphere had evaporated. We were almost done eating when Bianca suddenly slammed her fork down on her plate with a loud clang that made everyone jump. "You know what, Meredith?" she said, and something in her tone made my blood run cold. "You should give me that car." I actually laughed. I thought she was joking. But the look on her face, dead serious, almost entitled, stopped me cold. "Bianca, what are you talking about?" "Think about it," she said, leaning forward like she was explaining something obvious to a child. "You don't have a family. You don't have kids. You make decent money, so you'll be able to get another car. But we really need this car. Our minivan is falling apart, and it's way too small for 3 kids. With the new baby coming in 4 months, we're going to be cramped. Your car is perfect for a family our size." I looked around the table, expecting anyone, to tell Bianca how ridiculous she sounded. Instead, I saw Marcus nodding along like this made perfect sense. My parents were actually considering this insane proposition. "Bianca," I said carefully, "I'm not giving you my car. I just bought it yesterday." "But it makes sense," she insisted, her voice rising. "You're being selfish." "How am I being selfish for wanting to keep the car I just bought with my own money?" "Because you don't need it like we do." The words came out sharp, accusatory. "If you need a new car so badly, then sell your old one and get a loan like everyone else does." Bianca's eyes filled with tears, the kind of tears that had always gotten her what she wanted since we were kids. "I can't believe you're being like this. We're your family." Something snapped inside me. "And I help you guys all the time. I'm constantly giving you money for the kids, paying your bills, paying for their sports clubs. So don't you dare call me selfish." "That's different," Mom said quietly, and I felt like I'd been slapped. This would really help Bianca and Marcus out. "Bianca has a point, she does need it more than you do. And you're single," Dad added, like that settled everything. "You can afford to get another one." I felt like I was living in some alternate reality. My entire family was sitting there telling me I should give away my brand new car to my sister because she had kids and I didn't. The car I'd worked for, saved for, dreamed about for years. I stood up from the table, my hands shaking. I can't believe you guys. I came here excited to show you something I worked hard to afford, and instead you want to take it away from me. Meredith, sit down, Dad said in that authoritative voice he'd used when I was 12. Let's talk about this reasonably. There's nothing to talk about. The answer is no. I grabbed my purse and walked out, leaving them all sitting there in stunned silence. I got in my car, and drove home with my hands trembling on the steering wheel. I'd barely gotten out of my nice clothes when my phone started ringing. Mom first, then Dad, then Bianca. I didn't answer any of them. I knew exactly what they wanted, to keep pressuring me, to wear me down until I gave in like I always did. The calls kept coming all evening. When I wouldn't pick up, the texts started. Meredith, please reconsider. Bianca really needs this car. Mom, you're hurting your pregnant sister. Think about what's best for the family. Dad, I can't believe you're being so cruel to me when I'm carrying your niece or nephew. Bianca. Message after message, all saying the same thing, that I should help my sister, that she was pregnant and shouldn't be stressed, that I was being selfish and heartless. I read every single one, but I didn't respond. This went on for 2 solid weeks. They were relentless. Every day brought more ignored calls and guilt-trip messages about family loyalty and Bianca's pregnancy. They kept saying I should think about what was best for everyone, that Bianca shouldn't be upset while pregnant, that I was being cruel and selfish. Then they escalated. My Aunt Victoria called one evening during the 2nd week. Meredith, honey, she said in that sickeningly sweet voice, I heard about your situation with Bianca. Don't you think you should help your sister out? She's having such a hard time with the pregnancy and Marcus's work situation. Aunt Victoria, I'm not giving my car to anyone. I bought it with my own money and I'm keeping it. But sweetie, she's family. And she's pregnant. You know how important family is. The answer is no. I'm not changing my mind. I hung up on her. Even my extended family was getting dragged into this mess, and I was exhausted. But I knew I was right. I'd worked hard, saved my money, and bought something I needed and wanted. The fact that my sister had kids didn't mean she was entitled to take things from me. Then something wonderful happened, a lifeline I didn't even know I needed. My college friend Rebecca called about her wedding. She was getting married in California and wanted me there. Please say you can make it, she said. It's going to be small, but I really want you there. You were my roommate for 3 years, you have to be at my wedding. A few days away from home, away from my family's constant pressure, sounded perfect. I booked my flight for Thursday evening and planned to return Sunday night. I'd park my car in the lot next to my apartment building like I always did when I traveled. Thursday came, and I packed a small bag with excitement bubbling in my chest. My phone had finally stopped ringing constantly, though I still got the occasional guilt trip text. I parked my car in my usual spot, grabbed my bag, and took a taxi to the airport. The next few days were exactly what my soul needed. Rebecca's wedding was beautiful, small and intimate with just close family and friends. She looked radiant, her fiancé Daniel seemed like a genuinely good guy, and I got to catch up with college friends I hadn't seen in years. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't thinking about my family drama. Saturday afternoon we spent at the beach, had the wedding ceremony that evening, then partied until late at the reception. Sunday brought a lazy brunch with everyone before people started heading home. The flight back was peaceful. I felt refreshed and ready to deal with whatever my family threw at me next. Maybe the time away had given them a chance to cool down and realize how ridiculous they were being. I landed Sunday night around 10 and took a taxi back to my apartment building. As we pulled into the parking lot, I automatically looked for my car in its usual spot. It wasn't there. Can you drive around the lot once? I asked the taxi driver, my heart starting to race. I'm looking for my car. We drove slowly through the entire parking area. My Honda Pilot was nowhere to be seen. Someone had stolen my car, my brand new car that I'd owned for less than 3 weeks. I paid the driver and went upstairs, my mind spinning. I needed to call the police immediately, but then I remembered the security cameras. Maybe I should check those first to see what had happened. I went back downstairs and knocked on Mr. Bennett's door. He was the building owner and lived in the first-floor apartment. "Meredith, what's wrong?" he asked when he saw my face. "My car is missing from the parking lot. Can we check the security camera footage?" "Of course. Come in." Mr. Bennett had the camera system set up on his computer. We fast-forwarded through the footage from the past few days until we found Friday morning around 9 o'clock. What I saw on that screen made my blood run cold. There was my car in the parking lot. And there was Marcus, Bianca's husband, walking up to it with something in his hand. He did something to the door, I couldn't see exactly what, but somehow he got it open without the alarm going off. Then he got in and drove away. My own family had stolen my car. Not just taken it, stolen it. They'd figured out how to disable the alarm, broken in, and driven it away while I was across the country. They'd done it thinking I wouldn't find out or wouldn't do anything about it. I asked Mr. Bennett to copy the video to my phone, and then I just sat there trying to process what I'd witnessed. This wasn't just about the car anymore. They'd crossed a line I never thought they would cross. "You should call the police," Mr. Bennett said gently. "Not yet," I said. "I want to see if the car is where I think it is first." I called a taxi and gave the driver Bianca and Marcus's address. During the ride, I kept replaying the video in my mind. How had they gotten into my car? How had they disabled the alarm? When we pulled up to their rental house, I saw it immediately. My Honda Pilot was parked right there in their driveway, bold as you please. They hadn't even tried to hide it. They'd stolen my car and just parked it at their house like it belonged to them. I walked up to their front door and started pounding on it with my fist. I was so angry I could barely see straight. Marcus opened the door with Bianca right behind him. When they saw me, Marcus actually smiled. "Hey, Meredith," he said casually, like nothing had happened. I pointed at my car in their driveway. "What the hell is my car doing here?" Bianca stepped forward with the smug look on her face that I'd never seen before. "Well, if you hadn't been so stubborn, we wouldn't have had to take matters into our own hands." "Take matters into your own hands?" I could barely get the words out. "You stole my car." "We didn't steal anything," Marcus said with this infuriating casualness. "We just took what you should have given us in the first place." "How did you even get into it?" I demanded. Bianca smiled, actually smiled. "Remember those spare keys to your apartment that you gave Mom and Dad a few years ago? Just in case of emergencies?" "Well, this was an emergency. We went to your apartment while you were gone and got your car keys." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. They hadn't just stolen my car, they'd broken into my apartment to do it. They'd violated my home, my privacy, my trust in the most fundamental way. "Give me my keys back right now," I said. "And get away from my car." Bianca laughed, actually laughed. "I don't think so. This is our car now. You can go buy yourself another one." "This is theft," I said, my voice shaking with rage. "I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," Bianca said with this horrible confidence. "We'll tell them you promised us the car and then changed your mind." Who do you think they'll believe, a single woman or a pregnant mother with 2 kids? She slammed the door in my face. I stood there staring at that closed door, shaking with a rage so pure it felt like it might consume me. They thought they could just steal from me and get away with it. They thought I'd be too afraid of causing family drama to do anything about it. They were wrong. I called another taxi and went straight to the police station. I was done playing games with my family. At the police station, I explained the situation to the officer at the front desk. He took me to Detective Mercer, who listened to my whole story with professional attention. "So your brother-in-law took your car without permission?" he asked. "Yes, and I have video proof of him stealing it from my parking lot." I showed him the security footage on my phone. "And where is the vehicle now?" "Parked at their house." "I just came from there. They refused to give it back." Detective Mercer nodded. "We'll need you to fill out a theft report. Do you have proof of ownership?" I pulled out my registration and insurance papers. "I bought it 3 weeks ago. It's registered in my name." "All right. We'll send officers to retrieve the vehicle and bring in your brother-in-law for questioning. I filled out all the paperwork and gave them Bianca and Marcus's address. The detective said they'd call me once they had my car and had spoken to Marcus. The next day, Detective Mercer called. We have your vehicle at the station. Your brother-in-law has been arrested for auto theft. We also brought in your sister for questioning since she admitted to being involved. Can I come get my car? Yes, but there's a situation here you should know about. Your family is here, and they want to speak with you. When I walked into the police station, it was absolute chaos. Bianca was sitting in a chair crying loudly, those dramatic, attention-seeking sobs I remembered from childhood. My parents were pacing around, both red-faced and furious. When they saw me, they rushed over like I was the criminal. Meredith, Mom grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. You have to drop these charges right now. How could you do this to your own family? Dad demanded, his voice echoing off the station walls. Bianca looked up at me with mascara running down her face like some tragic movie heroine. You're a monster, she spat. You're trying to destroy my family. I'm getting my stolen car back, I said as calmly as I could manage. He's going to jail because of you. Bianca screamed, loud enough that other people in the station turned to stare. He went to jail because he stole my car, I replied. Mom started crying too. Please, Meredith, think about the children. Think about Bianca's pregnancy. You can't let Marcus go to prison over a car. It's not just a car, Mom. It's my property that he stole. But we're family, Dad shouted. Family doesn't send family to jail. Family doesn't steal from family either, I shot back. Detective Mercer came over. Miss Meredith, we need to know if you want to proceed with the charges. I looked at my family, Bianca still sobbing, my parents staring at me like I was some kind of monster, none of them seeming to understand that what Marcus did was actually illegal. In that moment, I realized something profound. I was done being their victim. You know what? I said. I'll drop the charges, but only under one condition. You all leave me alone completely. I want nothing to do with any of you ever again. Meredith, don't be dramatic, Mom said. I'm not being dramatic. I'm done. You stole from me, broke into my apartment, and then acted like I was the bad guy for being upset about it. I'm cutting all ties with you. You can't mean that, Dad said. I absolutely mean it. I'll drop the charges against Marcus, but in return, you never contact me again. No calls, no texts, no showing up at my apartment. We're done. I turned to Detective Mercer. I'll drop the charges. He nodded and went to handle the paperwork. Marcus was released, though they kept him for a couple extra days because he'd resisted arrest when they tried to take him in. I got my car back and drove home. That night, I blocked all their phone numbers. I blocked them on social media. I wanted them completely out of my life. The next few months were actually peaceful. No constant phone calls asking for money. No guilt trips about not helping enough. No drama. I could just live my life without worrying about what crisis my sister would manufacture next. About 5 months later, my Aunt Victoria called me from a different number. Meredith, honey, I have news about Bianca. She had the baby, a little girl. Your parents wanted me to tell you that you have a new niece. Okay, I said flatly. Don't you want to know her name or see pictures? No, Victoria. Meredith, don't you think this has gone on long enough? It's been 5 months. Maybe it's time to forgive and forget. Forgive and forget. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They stole my car, Victoria. They broke into my apartment. They treated me like garbage and then expected me to just take it. But they're your family. No, they're not. They stopped being my family the day they decided my sister's wants were more important than my rights. After I hung up, I sat in my apartment thinking about everything that had happened. Did I feel bad about not having a relationship with my family sometimes? Yes. Did I miss my nephews? Absolutely. But I didn't regret standing up for myself. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't constantly worried about money because I wasn't always giving it away. I wasn't stressed about family drama because there was no family to have drama with. I'd learned something crucial about myself during this whole mess. I'd learned that I was stronger than I thought. I'd learned that I didn't have to accept being treated badly just because we shared DNA. My family thought they could steamroll me because I'd always been the helpful one, the one who gave them money and bailed them out of problems. They thought I'd rather give up my car than cause trouble. They were wrong about me. And now they had to live with the consequences of their choices, just like I had to live with mine. Sometimes people ask me if I regret cutting off my family. The answer is complicated. Do I miss the good times? Of course. Do I wish things could have been different? Absolutely. But do I regret standing up for myself and refusing to be their victim anymore? Never. Because here's what I learned: real family doesn't steal from you. Real family doesn't break into your home. Real family doesn't think their needs automatically override your rights. And real family doesn't punish you for having boundaries. I drive that Honda Pilot every day, and every time I get behind the wheel, I'm reminded that I'm worth more than being someone's ATM. I'm worth more than being manipulated and guilt-tripped into giving away pieces of myself until there's nothing left. Thanks for listening, and if you liked this story, share it with others, and don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about finding your voice when those closest to you try to silence it. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is walk away from those who refuse to see our worth.